Hello everybody and welcome to another video of R&R Partners. My name is Ruxandra and today we're going to talk about 5 things you should know about refugees and asylum in Romania. This is a very useful topic, we think, especially during these difficult times that we're facing right now. At the moment when we're filming this video, there is an ongoing battle between Ukraine and Russia just at the Romanian border. And we have so many Ukrainians coming to Romania in order to get refugee status, to obtain asylum here. And the situation is quite heartbreaking. It also has a more administrative and legal side, so please know that what I'm talking about today does not only concern Ukrainians, but it concerns every type of asylum seeker in Romania, because we have asylum seekers from all around the world in the last years. Places like Iraq, Iran, Uzbekistan, even some countries in Africa and even South America. There are people all around the world who are looking for places to live which can be safe. So we are addressing that issue generally right now. And before jumping into this topic, I just want to let you know that if you are looking for a form of protection of staying in Romania, we highly recommend you check the NGO CNNR. I will also link their contact information somewhere here in the video, because they are an NGO who specializes on asylum seekers and refugee seekers who want to come to Romania, and they can offer you free guidance and information in the process further. We've collaborated with them for quite a while. We usually help them in the litigation phase. So if somebody seeks asylum in Romania, the asylum is rejected, you need to go to court, and that is where a lawyer jumps in. But coming back to the topic at hand, so obtaining asylum in Romania or refugee status, the first thing you should know is that you cannot obtain asylum in Romania from abroad. If you want to be protected in our country, you should actually go to our border, or you should already be in Romania when you are making this request. We were asked about this topic quite a few times, that's why we are beginning with it. We also had some comments in other videos about this procedure, not to mention emails, and usually people want to know, okay, I want to be protected in Romania, I want to live safely in an EU country, but can't I apply for this type of protection while I am in the country, while I feel persecuted and while I feel unsafe? And the answer is no. You must first come here, or at least come to the Romanian border, and then you can make such a request. Also, the request must be made by you in person, because an interview will follow. You cannot make this through a lawyer or a family friend or another person for you. It's pretty similar to other immigration procedure, like if you are a non-EU citizen or even an EU citizen and you want to obtain residency in Romania. We are asked many times by our clients, can I be abroad or be somewhere with work or school and you apply for me? And in that case, yes, we can apply for the person, but the person must eventually come to Romania, sometimes for a small interview or just to get their headshots and everything else. If you're interested about obtaining residency in Romania, I'll also link you here the video that we made on this topic. And if you need more information or you want to explore your options from a legal standpoint, I'll also leave a link here where you can book a legal consultation with us, either in person at our office in Bucharest or online by video call. But coming back to the idea of refugee status in Romania. So, besides the fact that you must apply where you are in the country or when you are at its border, the second thing you should know about it is that you must have a good reason for asking for asylum in Romania. When you ask for asylum, you should show that you're actually persecuted in your country, that you have a reason to be afraid there for your life, for your safety. For this, you can also bring proof. Many of our clients bring papers showing that, for example, I was imprisoned for this long of time for political reasons. or maybe declarations from people who are still abroad. They cannot come in person to testify in court or at the authorities, saying the exact story that happened, or you can have other governmental documents. So we can build each case from case to case. I cannot give you a list of documents that you can bring or people who can come to testify for you. This must be determined for each individual. And what we usually do is ask the client about the history, what happened, so they can tell their story from their own point of view. And then we are thinking about what questions a judge could have, what doesn't look really right, how we can corroborate the evidence so that the case is quite solid. Now, the third thing you should know about obtaining asylum in Romania is, as you might already know, you have the right to a lawyer. And here it gets more tricky because if you end up going to court, even if you do not have a lawyer that you retained, they will give you a lawyer for free. It is of course a legal professional who went through law school and passed the bar exam and everything else. And the state-appointed attorneys can be quite good, but our advice is, if you really want your case to have the best chances, is to actually get a lawyer that you retain yourself, somebody that is specialized on immigration law. Because the state-appointed attorney doesn't work only on immigration. They can be called in cases regarding criminal problems, even civil things, like they're not specialized on immigration, so they might not do this a lot of time during their career and might not know how exactly to handle this kind of cases. In Romania, as in any other country around the world, lawyers are basically specialized on a few things. For example, you have lawyers who handle criminal cases, real estate, immigration. Who knows? If your lawyer doesn't know what they are doing, you will not have such a good chance of your case to be accepted in court. And the fourth thing that you should know about the asylum procedure in Romania is that you have the right not only to have a lawyer, but also to have a translator. To be honest, this is even a more important right than actually having a lawyer, because if you do not have a translator, if you end up signing papers which you do not understand, you might make your case go really south. So, the translator should always be present. In some cases, they can be by video call or they can be in person there. And you should ask for a translator, in our opinion, even if you speak an international language to some extent. Like, for example, you are coming from Sudan, you speak a bit of English, but believe me, when the pressure is there, like you are in front of an officer, of some people that are questioning you, you might need also to think about your past, what happened, traumatic events. Your English might not be as great as when you are in a relaxed situation. You might not find the right words, and to be honest, in those kind of cases, it's better to have a translator in your own language, so the language from your country, not another international language. This is also the case if by chance you speak a bit of Romanian and you're saying, okay, I can talk to these people, it's enough. It might not be enough. Having a translator there is a service that is offered for you, and you might just take it, right? And again, a translator is not used only in oral communication, but also when you have papers to sign, declarations, because everything that you talk to the officer will be written down to some extent. At the end, when they give you things to sign, you must always understand their content. It will be explained to you by the officer and the translator. And if anything there is incorrect, you want to change it, or if you do not understand what is written there, always ask for help. Do not sign papers just because they are handed over to you. And the fifth and final thing you should know about asylum in Romania is, if you obtain this kind of protection, you will have the right not only to live, but also to work in Romania. Which, as you might know, especially for a non-EU citizen, can be quite complicated. We also did a video about work permits in Romania. But if you have gone through this asylum procedure successfully, then your potential employer doesn't have to go through all this paperwork, which can take quite a long time and involve a lot of money and a lot of effort for them. And in many cases, to be honest, we've heard this a lot of times from clients. Employers would rather let you go as an employee, so would not employ you anymore just because you are non-EU, and would rather get a person that is either Romanian or from Europe just because they have to do all this extensive paperwork. So, because they do not have to go through all this complicated process, if you're already here in Romania, you have obtained the refugee status, it is quite an advantage. And you have access to the workforce, which is wonderful. So that is about it for today about obtaining the refugee status in Romania and obtaining asylum. If you have any other questions, things that we maybe failed to mention in this video or which are still unclear, please leave them in the comments down below. As you might know, if you have been watching our videos for a while, we respond to each and every one of the comments. And if you have a more complicated issue, you can write to us at office@rrpb.ro or just book a legal consultation with us and we can talk more in, of course, the procedure of client-attorney privilege. And if you enjoy our content, do not forget to give it a big like and subscribe to our channel because we have a lot more content coming up. And of course, follow us on social media because we are quite active on Facebook and Instagram. Up until next time, have a lovely day. Bye bye.